All right, so today we're tackling global warming, but we're going to come at it from a totally different angle. We're exploring a specific philosophical viewpoint that says the solution isn't about technology or politics, but about a cosmic plan that's all about human consciousness. It's a unique perspective for sure, so let's dive right in.
You know this question, right? It's everywhere. It's on the news, it's at global summits, it's in all those urgent reports. We see experts scrambling for fixes, for new policies to handle all the floods and fires and everything else, and honestly feels like we're in this frantic race against the clock. But what if the answer wasn't to fix the planet at all? The framework we're looking at today offers this pretty startling advice. Leave it be. It basically argues that focusing on global warming is like treating a fever while you completely ignore the infection that's causing it. According to this view, the real problem isn't what's happening to the Earth, but what's happening inside of us.
So let's really unpack that idea. The whole point here is that maybe we're asking the completely wrong question. Maybe we're so busy treating the symptoms, the environmental damage, that we're ignoring the actual disease, the root cause that's been festering all along. Okay, this slide right here really gets to the heart of the argument. Over on the left, you've got the planet's problems we all know so well. But this philosophy says those are just the external symptoms of the real crisis, which is over on the right, humanity's internal problems. The core claim is that our collective greed, our constant fighting, and the fact that we're just not living right, that's the direct cause of all the environmental destruction. You fix the stuff on the right, and the stuff on the left will take care of itself.
Now, to really understand this, you kind of have to look at human history through a completely different lens. This philosophy doesn't see our past as just a series of random events, but as a deliberate, cosmic plan.
According to this philosophy, for billions of years, humanity was in a phase called Jinha. This was a time where we were weak and we were guided by nature, just slowly growing. But that phase ended in the early 20th century, right when we reached exactly 30% of our potential. And at that exact moment, something dramatic happened. A great pruning began, in the form of the two world wars.
The really crucial thing to get about Jinhua is that it was like humanity's childhood. It was a guided, natural process. But that childhood is over now. That whole period of simple, natural growth has ended, and it's made way for a new, much more conscious stage of our development.
So why would this pruning be necessary? Well, this philosophy describes it like you're tending to a giant tree. To make sure it grows healthy and strong, you have to trim the branches, right? You cut away the ones that are growing too wild and arrogant, and you also clear out the ones that are too weak. The World Wars, in this view, were a deliberate cosmic event designed to cleanse humanity and get us ready for our next, much more important phase. And this cosmic reset, according to this view, was done on a massive and very precise scale. After all the chaos of the early 20th century, the world population was strategically brought down to a very specific number, 3 billion people. This wasn't some accident. It was a carefully managed figure to set the stage for everything that was about to happen next. And if you think that's specific, check this out. At the one place considered to be humanity's root, the Korean Peninsula, the population was set at precisely 30 million. These two numbers, 3 billion and 30 million, are seen as the absolute foundational pillars of our modern era.
So, after this huge reset, a new chapter begins. And this isn't just about rebuilding. It's about the birth of a new kind of human being, one with a very specific purpose. And this is where the generation we call the baby boomers enters the story, at least in this telling of it.
This famous quote from South Korea's first president takes on a whole new meaning in this context. It's seen as not just a political rallying cry, but as an echo of a cosmic directive. The people at the root had to unite, because their survival, and by extension the world's survival, depended on it. The children born in Korea after this reset are called Hongik Ingon. This is a huge concept. They are described as being fundamentally different from everyone who came before. Their purpose wasn't just to survive and do well for themselves. No, their destiny, their whole mission was to learn a new, righteous way of living and then teach it to the rest of the world.
This brings us to the central metaphor that ties this entire philosophy together, the idea of humanity as one single giant tree.
The central metaphor here is simple but really powerful. Imagine all of humanity, every nation, every person as part of one enormous tree. The root of that entire tree, the source of its life and its stability, is the Korean Peninsula.
And the logic of this metaphor is pretty straightforward. If the root is healthy, the whole tree is going to flourish. But if the root is sick or if it fails in its duty, the entire tree will wither and die. So this places an absolutely immense responsibility on the people of the root. Their actions, their learning, their success or failure, it's all seen as directly impacting the fate of all humankind.
So, how does all of this connect back to solving global warming? The solution, according to this perspective, doesn't lie in technology, but in fulfilling this cosmic plan through education.
Okay, now let's look at a fascinating piece of real-world history. After the Korean War, South Korea was one of the poorest countries on Earth. I mean, logically you'd think their priority would be food, shelter, basic stuff. But instead, they launched this massive nationwide campaign to build schools.
It seems almost backwards, doesn't it? Why would a starving nation pour its very scarce resources into education above everything else? Well, this philosophy offers a pretty profound reason for that choice.
The answer was that they had to prepare that special generation, the Hangik Ingan, for their mission. They needed to be equipped with knowledge, not just for their own success, but so they could eventually fulfill their destiny as teachers for all of humanity. Those schools were basically training grounds for the saviors of the world.
This philosophy lays out a really clear four-step path to healing the globe. First, the people at the root have to learn. Then, they must teach. As the world learns from them, our behavior will fundamentally change and will move away from greed and conflict. And finally, as our inner state changes, the outer world, the planet itself, will naturally come back into balance. The Earth heals when humanity heals.
So to put it simply, this whole framework argues that we've been looking for a solution in all the wrong places. It's not about solar panels or carbon taxes. It's about a fundamental education of the human spirit, starting at the root and spreading to the entire world.
This chart really shows the contrast between the two approaches. The conventional view, our usual way of thinking, puts almost all its chips on external solutions, technology and policy. But this alternative view, it flips that on its head and places all of its emphasis on an internal solution, raising human consciousness. It's a radical shift in focus, from the outside world to our inner world.
And that leaves us with a final, really powerful question to think about. Whether you subscribe to the specific philosophy or not, it forces us to ask, what if the crises we see in the world, from climate change to conflict, are really just reflections of who we are? And if that's true, what does that mean for how we're trying to solve them?